My name is Jen Weber, and I'm the newest member of the team at Cardstack. I'm also an active participant in the Ember open source community. And one question I heard a lot from some of my open source colleagues at EmberConf was, what is Cardstack? What are you going to be doing there? So to answer, I want to try and frame it in terms of some Ember analogies and give you a tour of some of the things that I've learned in my first few days on the job here. So one of the reasons why I was attracted to Cardstack is because I wanted to apply some of the things that I've learned while working on the Ember.js framework towards this goal that they're trying to accomplish, which is to bring forward Web 3.0 and empower more people to create tools that drive businesses, that drive organizations, and drive causes forward. So what I would say is, imagine that you could build an amazing component, the best component ever that connects to data sources that are important to your use case, that has the ability to track its version and data over time. Not only can you build that type of component, but you could also share it with somebody else. And maybe down the line, even monetize it so that whatever you've built is sustainable in the long term and useful to other people. Cardstack is an environment where that's possible. The data can flow in from different sources, and kind of like in the style of Ember data adapters, there's an API that lets you utilize that data within the Cardstack environment and build something that users can interact with that persists your data to any disparate sources that you might need to be connecting with. One of the things that I thought was really cool about it is that, in addition, anything can be backed by Git. So the tools that we're used to having where our own code bases have versioning can be applied to the data sources as well. You can track changes over time, not just in your functionality of the card, as we would say, but also the information that's powering it. So I'm going to give you a quick tour here of some of the things I've been looking at over the past couple days. First up is the main Cardstack repository. A lot of Cardstack's work is, this is all open source. So these are things that you can, have a look at yourself, play around with, and take for a spin. That's something that's really exciting to me about it. So this will give you an idea of sort of what's the overall architecture of the Cardstack project as a whole. One of the things you'll notice when you open up Cardstack is that there are many files, kind of like how a new Ember app has many files. That's because it's dealing with a lot of concerns. So for example, earlier today, I was working on an issue within one of the data adapters for working with the Git source, and I can find those data adapters here in the packages folder. So starting with reading through the README is a good way to understand at a high level what kinds of functionalities are possible in here. But where it really all started to come together for me was actually when I ran an app locally. So we're looking here at, or I should say an environment locally. We're looking at Cardboard, which is one of the kind of showpieces for what Cardstack can do. It is a blog style editor, but it's just an example of the types of things that are possible to build with Cardstack. So I cloned this repository locally and ran it over here with yarn start after installing some of the dependencies. So if you want to take this for a spin, clone it, start changing things, and see how the app reacts, that can be a great way to explore what's going on here. One of the things you'll notice in the README is that there are some Docker containers that are running behind the scenes. And that's because Cardstack isn't just the UI layer. It's also this entire environment that's, powering the data behind it. Think of it, as sort of like the server plus the UI running both at once. And so you'll need to run these Docker container commands, yarn start prereqs, in order to create the place where you can actually start to see and interact with these things. Right now, later this afternoon, I'm going to be working on some issues within the Cardstack repository. And one of the cool things is that you can follow along with this progress of adding new features and see how they're being used within things like this cardboard functionality that we're looking at here. So I'm looking forward to sharing that journey with you and what I've learned along the way, ultimately helping to produce some documentation that will make it even easier for other people to jump in and figure out what's going on and maybe help out. Thanks.